Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we're going to have a quick look at PinguyOS. I think it's called Pinguy, or it's Pinguy or Pinguy, whatever it is OS. This is a nice OS based on Ubuntu, and this is the new release based on Ubuntu 18.04. This features a customized Gnome desktop, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to dive on over to the release notes, then we'll boot this guy up, and we're just going to do a quick look of it. I don't recall I've ever looked at this before. I might have in the past. I can't remember. But let's go ahead and have a look. So, in this new release, now this version was just released a couple days ago on July 2nd. And basically, the biggest change this brings to us is it's based on Ubuntu 18.04 and Gnome 3.28.2. And one of the things that Pinguy is that they're focused towards is to make a system that looks very nice, is modern, and is not for geeks, but instead is for people who are kind of new to Linux. And so, like I said, I haven't really looked at it a whole lot. I got it installed, and then we're going to have a look at it the first time together as we load it up. He does have the information here. There is not a 32-bit version, and he explains a very good reason why. Usually that means you are running at 3 gigs of RAM or less, which is where 32-bit machines are capped out at, and this is running Gnome, and you don't want to run Gnome on that little RAM. So he does say 2 is the minimum, but 4 is recommended, and if you are running a system with less RAM than that, he says you'd probably be better off using Ubuntu Matei. I love this type of honesty in the Linux community. This is great because there are people that run lower end machines, even newer ones. Like one of my writing computers runs Peppermint because it only has 2 gigs of RAM. I could not possibly put a GNOME-based system on there. I did run Unity on that at one point in time, and that was okay, but Peppermint was way better. So they have the information here. Gnome 3.28.2. Of course, this is a customized Gnome. They are using the Gnome file manager, which is my personal favorite file manager, so bonus to that. Kernel 4.15. And then they did some other fixes to help with the screen tearing things. They have exFAT support enabled. There is WinePack repos for easy installation of Windows games. Not as familiar with all that. They used to run Docky on it. Now they run Simple Dock. And the other thing that they had said is that despite this being based on the Gnome desktop, they have replaced some of the basic Gnome Utilities with Matei versions, mostly out of an interest in the things that he liked. So he didn't like gedit, so he replaced that with Ppa. But if you are running all your commands looking for gedit, like all his tutorials, he mapped it so that even if you are typing gedit as part of tutorials, it still will pull up Ppa. So that is, again, is that attention to detail to not wanting to break all of the past tutorials. So far, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing just reading through his information. So that's kind of what this is based on. So let's go ahead and boot this guy up and see what it looks like. All right, so now we are booted into the desktop, and just some of the things that we see right out of the gate here is it is based on Gnome, but it does have, so of course this is the Gnome-based system, so we can access our settings over here. We just also have some utilities already up on the bar, so we have a weather application, which is pulling from some weird random location, so I should probably be able to come up here and make that adjustment. So that's good that they're not trying to add other stuff. Let's go ahead and see if I can find my location. That looks good. Save that. And now I can delete it. I think I have to have one on there to not delete it. So there we are. Now our weather is working up at the top. I can click on that, and that's precisely accurate. Very nice looking weather app right on the right up there. It does look like we have the Mint Update Manager. This does appear to be the older version. You can tell because it has the levels up here. So it is asking us for some updates. Just a variety of different things. And let's see if you can still do... Looks like you cannot make adjustments to the kernel right here. Software sources, preferences, history of updates. So let's see, it just wants 84 megabytes. Let's just go ahead and push that, and we'll run our updates while we look at the rest of the system. All right, so as that's doing its updates, we have places over here for all of our basic information, all of our folders. Then here's our applications. Now that we do have 4 different desktops available to us, these are just different desktop views. Frequent apps, favorite apps, and then we come down to accessories. And inside of our accessories, we have that seems to be an issue, is it's not keeping the menu items up here. If I'm pulling this down, I would say, okay, I want to look at accessories. It doesn't keep the accessories going. All right, so these are favorites. That's fine. Okay, so we have variety. So variety, I think, is set up, and it is changing the wallpapers. The configuration for that is up here right next to your update manager. So you can see we can do next, all the things over here. So if you want to not be changing the wallpapers, just come down here and quit and then turn that off. We'll show you how to do that here in a minute. And then under your accessories, we have a variety of different things. So here's the Matei Calculator instead of the Gnome one. I don't know if there is a Gnome calculator or not. Graphics, we have Simple Scan Image Viewer. Internet, we have Firefox. We have Oracle Java Web Start and Deluge for BitTorrents. For Office, we have the calendar. Not sure which calendar this is. This does appear to be the Gnome calendar. Trash can viewer. Programming, we have an icon browser, so we can browse for icons. That's good. We have VLC for sound and video. We have BleachBit, which is unusual to find pre-installed on a Linux distro. That's kind of like CCleaner if you're used to that on Windows. So that's all the applications it comes installed with. Our system is now up to date. We got our check mark up there, and we do have the tweak tool installed and actually on our desktop as we have it. So we can see that we have a couple of different options for our theme applications on our desktop. It looks like we can work off of the desktop. It's just they've not turned on the icons, so you can go ahead and switch on the icons that you would like on your desktop. That should show up, but I don't know. We'll see. Variety of extensions. So this is one of the things that Gnome itself doesn't have a lot of good functionality. So some of the distros that do modified Gnome builds will have all of their extensions built in by default. So that's actually one of the good things here. I'm curious why I don't have those desktop icons that are showing up right now. That's interesting. Here's our fonts. Keyboard power. Here's your startup applications. So we have our Mint update. We have variety. We have Nemo is running. You have a battery percentage. You can toggle this on if you're on a laptop. And there's hot corners. Oh, there we go. Our wallpaper just changed. That's from our variety wallpaper changer. And here's your windows. And everything there is kind of set up pretty nicely. So that's pretty good. So again, we toggled on those desktop icons, but they are still not showing up. So that is a little odd. We do have this Stacer. This is a neat application. It just has a variety of different other tweaks and things, so we can see how the system's running. I'm running on 1.2 gig right now, so that's not too bad. It is determining there is nothing uploading or downloading to the system. Here's your startup applications. Here's your Mint update. Nemo's starting up. Shutter is not. It says here variety is not turning on, but apparently it is. So there does seem to be something a little goofy here in this desktop, where it is obviously starting variety. I'm seeing that. We did see the wallpaper change. I have encountered that before with Budgie, where there are Linux Mint Budgie, when I put Budgie on Linux Mint, where there's 2 different places to do startup applications. So it looks like the variety showed up in the basic tweaks over here. So let me show you this. your startup applications. It's like Variety started up over here. It's also on this list, but you'll notice that it is not enabled here. So what my guess is that it's probably going to run both of these separately. So Variety is in the list but turned off over here versus it is on over on the other side. Whereas Linux, the Mint update is probably starting itself twice. That's just my educated guess based on what I'm seeing here. Here is System Cleaner. So this guy here, I guess, will go through and clean out a bunch of cache, which is actually a neat feature to have. I wish more Linux distros had this type of stuff. This is the current status running. So this would be kind of like running your configuration tweaks. The old version auto exec on Windows. There's a newer version. I forget the exact name of it, but what to turn on or what to turn off when the system starts. So that's a neat application. First time I've actually seen that as easy to find on Linux. Here's the processes currently running. The uninstaller, so if you want to uninstall anything, my guess is you could uninstall something that would break your system. That's my guess based on seeing that. Here is what's currently going on in the CPUs. Okay, this is nice. It's a Ppa Manager. This is a really nice application. I like this. I like the look of it. I like it exists. Okay, so here, once again, showing desktop icons, turning stuff on, and we're still not getting those icons showing up. So that's a little, I don't know if that's a bug or what the deal is with that, but if the developer of this is watching, why am I not getting icons? Does anybody know? In theory, let's see if I create a new folder, if it actually shows up. Okay, so new folders do show up. And send feedback. All right. So that's a neat little application. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and let that run in the system tray. I think that's showing up here in the system tray. All right, so I want to run my desktop icons. I have turned them on now in 2 separate places, and I'm not getting them to show up. I'm not completely sure what's up with that. We do have the GNOME software installer, it looks like. So we could run updates over here, probably in addition to the Mint updater. There's the install. Here's more. Let's see if I can find something like Chromium. Should be in here without a big deal. All right. Let's go ahead and install that. That should prompt me for a password. And now let's look for something that's sometimes not necessarily in these repos. Let's look at Skype. Okay, so we do have 2 versions of Skype. Okay, so what you notice here on 2 versions of Skype, this one here is in a repository, and this one here is on FlatHub. You can tell here it says FlatHub. So when you are trying to install an application that shows up in a couple different places like this, what you actually would like to probably do is just start with one of them. Don't do both of them. And if one of them doesn't work, uninstall it and shoot for another one. So there, we're back to our original desktop icon there. All right, so there's that. All right. Let's see if... Evolution is in here. Evolution is not in the repo. That makes me sad. Just type in email, see if that gets from that. So we have Mail Spring, which requires interesting accounts. Thunderbird shows up, but I'm not seeing Evolution, which is funny because that is a GNOME-based app. So this is one of the problems with some of the software centers, is that there are a lot of packages that may be available to install from the repos that just don't show up in the software managers. So in this case, that was the email application called Evolution, which is my favorite Linux application for email. So you can see here that that did install. And this is by far, in my opinion, the best email application. You can think of this as more like the full-on professional Outlook mail, not the stupid web service, because Microsoft can't figure out how to have two separate products and actually give them different names. We're talking about the actual client called Outlook. Before they had their web-based version of it, which sucks. But this actually has all that feature and functionality, all of the complexity to it. That's why some people don't use it quite as much. But you'll notice that it was not available in the Gnome Software Center, so I did have to install it with the terminal. That's kind of one of the downsides, and that's not necessarily a problem with this particular distro. That actually happens on a lot of distros. And sometimes, a lot of times I see this with the Gnome software installer. For whatever reason, that happens a lot on the Gnome software installer. That applications are available through the repositories, but simply not available on the Software Center itself. All right, so overall, let's go ahead and have a look at the Gnome settings as well. I don't recall looking through those. So here we have our login screen and our background. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, if I had those enabled, we could go into those. We have a dock over here. I don't have any options for that. Notifications, we can turn on notifications for specific software. Search, I can search in a variety of different places for things. Okay, online accounts. We have Ubuntu, we have Google, Nextcloud, Facebook, Microsoft, Flickr, Pocket, Foursquare, Microsoft Exchange, and there's probably other, which you can do like an IMAP and SMTP server for emails and things. Privacy, location is off, screen lock is on, usage and history is on. Purge files off, and problem reporting is manual, which is good. So sound, power, network, devices. So we are based on Ubuntu 18.04. Users, default applications. So okay, we can pick which default application we're using for a variety of different things. Music and video, or both those. We have 3 different things to pick for our videos. So there's your system settings. I'd say the biggest thing in this is the style is a little bit different. We have a lot of good extensions plugged in for a very usable system. And the Stacer, I think that's pronounced Stacer application installed here this is just fabulous application. Downsides, I'm not quite sure why I'm not getting my system folders. Let's go ahead and try logging out and logging back in and seeing if that gives me our folders on the desktop or not. All right, so on login and log out, yeah, we still do not have any desktop icons. So if you know how to get those desktop icons on here, let us know. We did toggle them on in 2 separate places, the Tweak Tools and the Stacer application. Still, it's not giving me the ability to install those. Otherwise, though, what I'm seeing, I mean, I like it. It doesn't have an excessive amount of bloat. We can install some things. I'm not quite sure why Java is installed by default. That's one of those applications that has always classically had a lot of issues where you probably don't want to have Java installed on a computer unless you absolutely know that you need it. And a lot of the reason is because it does introduce a lot of security concerns over the years. So it's interesting that they would have that in light of everything else. But for the most part, things do seem to make sense. Okay, we have an Ubuntu Cleaner, Update Manager, USB Flasher. That's actually nice. Ppa Manager. Wonder if some of these are all part of that Stacer application. I just don't know. So no, I've not seen this before, but maybe these are all, here's your Ubuntu version. Okay. Manage PPAs. Okay, so there's a lot of PPAs on this. So simple screen recorders on there. Maybe a lot more PPAs than some people may not be comfortable with this many. The good news is this really allows the system to work pretty good. The bad news is there is a lot of things on here that I'd say a lot of users may or may not actually be interested in using. But it's a very nice application, nice way it seems to be working. So that's kind of neat. Who's this for? I would say somebody who is fairly new to Linux and would like a different look and a different feel of their computer. Maybe not a computer where's the dice person, but somebody comfortable with a computer because the layout is going to be a little bit different. Maybe slightly more comfortable for a Mac user with the basic layout. But for the most part, it does seem like a distro that would be great for a person who's new to Linux, who wants a system that just works on a lot of hardware and doesn't have a ton of time to learn or to make sure a system works. Downsides, I'm not sure why my desktop icons that I want to be displayed are not showing up, even though we've toggled them. There is a lot more in the system that probably could be removed from the system for a person who knows what they're doing and wants to get rid of those. That'd be something to try out. And I'm not sure if the GNOME Software Center is necessarily the best choice in light of the fact that I've seen many times before where it doesn't actually have software somebody might want to use, like an email application. Thunderbird is fine, but having to install Evolution through the terminal, Evolution is a far superior mail client. It is more complicated, of course, but it is definitely more for power email users. So that's kind of my take. Pretty cool distro. Check it out. Try and install it a little bit. Play around with it, particularly if you're looking for something a little bit different. It does look pretty nice. I like the desktop theming. I like how it's all set up. The theme is very nice. But it is, I like it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So that's my thought on PinguyOS. Let me know what your thoughts on this quick look happen to be. Don't forget, you can help support the channel by checking out switchtolinux.com/support. I have links there to my Amazon account, PayPal account, and my Patreon account. The Patreon is at patreon.com/TomM. That's TOMM. And you can pick up things like a t-shirt, a mouse pad, a stainless steel water bottle at shop.switchtolinux.com. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.